keeps fading because it's an India ink thing, right? It seems like you'd have to go over it a couple times to make it actually opaque. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Is It Worth It, where I go around the world and the internet looking for art supplies to make your life just a little bit easier, or for you to enjoy the craft just this much more. Now, as of late, I have been on a mission to try and find the perfect white pen or paint pen, because I've been having a problem with the Posca pens. They keep exploding in my hands. Like the white ones. It's only the white ones, which is weird. So now I'm on a search for trying to find a really good white pen, whether it be with ink, whether it be with paint, but I'm trying to find that. And so today we're actually going to Faber-Castell. They have a black and white PITT pen set, and I'm not necessarily interested in the fine liner, but definitely in the white pens that come in this 4-pack. I'm kind of interested. Faber-Castell generally makes good stuff, so I'm really interested to see if this is going to be my go-to. So, as you know, come on, let's go check them out. Alright, so as you can see here, this is just a piece of plastic. It is literally just a clear plastic container. It's pretty flimsy, right? You can just, I don't know. This wasn't the best design, I think, right? Like it's just a clear plastic container with a piece of security tape sticker on it. It shows us that you can kind of write in white, and we've got a brush, a 1.5, and a chisel, and then the fine liner, which, like I said, I'm not interested in that one today, but it's India ink, so it's going to be ink, so it's going to be interesting. Let's see what it says. Pigmented India ink, extremely light, fast, waterproof, permanent, odorless, acid-free, pH neutral, 4 nibs, and then it tells you what the nibs were that we just mentioned up front. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It definitely tells you that it's been made in Germany and a whole bunch of different places. We definitely want you to know that it was made in Germany. But yeah, so let's take these out and see what... All right, so it's, once again, I have a bit bigger hands, so the pen itself seems like normal. It's a normal size for what people normally do with these pens. I think it's a little bit small, but it's the standard, I would say. So there's nothing really to it. It's Faber-Castell PITT pen. This is the brush. It just tells you, they tell you what's on here, right? No pictures or anything like that, so they just tell you what's on here, and then it gives you all the same stuff, that it's waterproof and India ink and all that kind of good stuff. It does have the letter B for brush. This one is going to be the chisel, or they're calling it a calligraphy pen, and then this one is a 1.5. This is going to be the bullet nib. The plastic itself doesn't necessarily feel plasticky. It's actually a pretty sturdy pen. It feels nice, right? It does feel nice. It's got a little clip that's doesn't have a lot of resistance to it. So if you play with this a lot, you're going to snap it right off. Oh, you know what? That looks nice. That brush looks real nice. It looks like a really nice firm tip. It's very, very nice. Very nice looking brush. Let's see if it posts. Yep, posts really nicely. That's good. Let's see if it's got a snap. Yep, it's got a pretty good snap to it, right? So that's good. Let's check out the chisel. Oh, it's a small chisel. That's interesting. So it's got a small chisel, and it's wedged on both sides. So I guess no matter how you actually use it, you should get that nice little wedge position in there, so that's good. And then 1.5 bullet is nice. And it looks like it's small, but it looks sturdy, so it looks pretty good. It looks like it should be pretty good. Like I'm very interested, right? They all got a nice snap, and that's for a different day. All right, so today we're just using a black sketchbook, right? No real reason to use a white sketchbook, although if we're trying to use it as a correction pen, we could try that. So you might actually break out something just in case, but for the most part, I'm just assuming we're gonna keep it on the black. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start with the brush. So because it's an India ink product, you don't have to shake it, right? Because it's just ink. Now, if you add, let's see, okay. So I like it when you can add to the cap and then it gives you a little bit more length on your pen, especially if the post is actually pretty strong. So this one's got a nice post, so it makes the pen longer. It's got some nice flow. Nice, I mean, it flows nicely, but you know, you can really see, like, as you move, like when we started, it was really nice. Right? And then as we move a little bit further, it kind of fades out as we move it. So, I mean, that's kind of, it seems as though if you do it slower, but I mean, it keeps fading because it's an India ink thing, right? It seems like you'd have to go over it a couple times to make it actually opaque, which could be an interesting technique, right? Like you can make some really nice stuff, but if you're really trying to come in and just do it with one shot, doesn't look like that's gonna work, right? So because it's a very, well, ink. So it's got a lot of water to it, or it might not be water, but right? So the liquid lets it, well, when it dries, it just becomes transparent, right? So you have to kind of go over it a couple times. So let's try. All right, so we'll just make this K, right? But you can really see how it fades out here, right? Where the ink's just not there. And then, so if we go over it again, slowly, right? Well, the one thing that I have noticed is that you don't have to wait too long. I mean, should give it a second to dry out, but yeah, see, now once I have multiple layers on there, it's kind of wet. But you know, after the third layer, right, it's kind of there. I don't know. This kind of thing doesn't do it for me, right? If I have to constantly go over it, that defeats the purpose. Let's see about the chisel. I mean, about the brush. The brush was nice and firm, like a semi-firm. It was really nice. Like the brush itself is really good. So it's probably like getting one of these as a black ink pen. So the Faber-Castell PITT pens, we might actually need to try and grab one of those for just regular ink and try those out. But let's see. Oof. Right, so it really doesn't like being on its side, like to give you those nice thin lines. Like there's not a lot of ink coming out when we do it in a really thin line on either side. So that it does not like. But this was actually pretty good. Oops. There we go. Nope. There we go. The chisel seems to be doing better. It seems to be getting out a little bit more ink. But it does still fade. But it seems like so far the chisel seems like it would probably be the better of the two that we've used so far. But still, I mean, you only got to go over it twice, right? But when you go over it a third time, you do get a nice white if you go over it 3 times. But so if you're trying to do something, that's cool. But if you're trying to do something a little bit more swoopy, right? How are you going to really match that again? You're really not, right? Now, I think that these would be really cool for if you have an already illustrated picture and you want to try and do some lightning or something like that, right? To where you throw this out, right? But then you have to go over parts of it again, right? Because then it'll actually lighten up certain spots and keep others in the distance, so it looks like there's multiple like strands of electricity coming out. So that's kind of cool. Like the fading on that really works, but the chisel is definitely the stronger of the two that we've done so far. All right, so now we're going to try the bullet. Oh, okay. So the bullet comes out swinging. You know what? That's... Okay, so the bullet is by far the best as far as when the ink comes out. It still fades a little bit, but I mean, right out the box, that one is definitely putting out more ink than the other two. And so I can see how this would work. This is actually really cool. And then if you go over it, right, if you have something to where you can go over it again, right, it could be real nice. So let's try that. Let's show you. So all right, so that's one, and we'll do all right. So we've got one layer. Yeah, the PITT pen, like, so the 1.5 pen is by far the best. But we're gonna go over this again. Turn that. Right, so that's two times, and we'll try it one more time. But yeah, I really do. I like this. The bullet is my favorite one, and I'm not angry. I'm not mad at it because it doesn't fade like the other two, right? Like the other ones faded as you move them along, but this one kind of stays the same no matter what. Right? Okay, we're gonna go over this again. Okay, that's two. While that's happening, we're just gonna kind of just keep playing, I guess. Let's see what we can do. Yeah, 100%. This is what you should buy, because you can get nice swoopy lines. I mean, yeah, these are a little bit more expressive just because of how the brush will work. But if you're looking for white and you're looking for it to come out of the box pretty much really clear, then you want to do that. All right, we're gonna do one more layer. So we've done twice. All right, so that's three times. All right, so you can really see that going over, and it's easier, right? Because it's a bullet, so it's nice and clear. But going over this, you can actually get it nice and white and clear and stuff like that. Like, you can do a really nice job. But I'm not angry with how this comes out. So if you're signing something on white paper, you can 24, right? And there's your white, and you can keep moving. And while it is, right, because it is ink, so it's drying into the paper and stuff like that. But if you were like, oh, you know what, I'm going to wait just for a second, and you can just go right over it again, like really quickly. That's the thing that I really, really like about this, is that it dries relatively fast. Unlike like paint pens or paint markers and stuff like that, you can actually go over it really, really quickly right afterwards. You know, get a nice white line if you want to. So yeah. There you go. All right, so we just got done reviewing the Faber-Castell white PITT pens, brush and chisel, and you know, the brush and the chisel, you have to go over them a couple times, which can make it really difficult if you're trying to do design work and stuff like that. But the star of the show was definitely that 1.5 bullet nib. Ink came out nice, so as soon as you actually used it, it was white. And then if you went over it again, it became even bolder. And then if you went over it a third time, it was like, to me, it looked like it was a paint pen. Right? So without the mess of the paint and all that, you could really get that with the bullet. But the other ones, I didn't like them as much. Yes, they put white, but it was almost grayish once it dried. And so, like I said, trying to be able to go over it again to get that second layer or that third layer of white was going to be next to impossible. So that is something to keep in mind. Like, it does work, but it's not necessarily the best, right? And I'm like, So if you're gonna go out and buy Faber-Castell PITT white pens, you're definitely gonna want to get the bullet. 1.5 bullet worked like a charm. That was absolutely worth it. But the entire pack, not so much. Not so much. So the hunt continues for the perfect or the best white pen or gel pen or paint marker. We're going to keep a lookout. If you have any suggestions, put them down at the bottom. So that wraps up today's episode of Is It Worth It? I hope that this information was helpful to you in some way, shape, or form. As I mentioned earlier, if you have any suggestions for materials that you would like me to review, please go ahead and drop it in the comments below and I will add it to the list. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the bell so that you get notified every single time that I drop new content. Thank you all so very much, and I will see you at the next episode.